So let's embark into the future of generative AI, how this is going to revolutionize the way we are going to innovate and collaborate. Without wasting much time, let's deep dive to understand more on this. Maha, hi Maha. Hi. So a quick question for you. With this recent developments which is happening in generative AI, right? What do you think that there is a rush in the market to adopt generative AI? And also, how do you think this is going to change the work structures?
Okay, hi, good afternoon, everyone. And Shabareesh, thanks for the question. So just to put it in perspective, right, there are two things that are happening. One is the whole thing in terms of data explosion. Given the paucity of time, I won't talk through every bit of this bullet point, but the point is this, that connected devices are increasing. Every 5 years, it's almost doubling. So 2015, possibly, there were around 3 connected devices per individual on the world, which is around 7 billion population. And now you have close to around 12.5 connected devices, right? Almost 5 billion people are on social networks, average of almost 7 platforms get used every month, almost 2 hours daily basis. Do the math, the data that gets generated is huge. Within an enterprise, if you look at it, almost 7-8 years back, the average number of SaaS platforms for company was possibly 8 to 10. And now, if you look at it, it's almost 120 to 130, a 15x increase. So what it means is, not only is the data generated internally, but there's also a lot of integration data flow that is happening. There is also the whole proliferation of marketplaces, online marketplaces, quick commerce, delivery services that are happening. And that, again, is generating huge amounts of data, because earlier, when we are looking at marketplaces or for e-commerce, if you're looking at 1 day, 2 day type of delivery, today with the Swiggies and the Zeptos of the world, and possibly Uber and Ola, you're almost looking at data every 2 minutes, right? And so that's creating huge content as well. Now, what essentially this means is, from a data perspective, as we speak, we are generating almost 180 zettabytes of data. To put it in perspective, there are 7 billion people on the planet today, and it's almost saying that each one of them has got 3 laptops with 1 terabyte of capacity each, right? So that's the level of data, all full, that's there. But what is more important is 2 things here. The huge growth in unstructured data, which is almost 90%, and 2 is the increasing relevance of external data, right? Most organizations have done possibly a decent job of trying to at least put their own data together. There's still some time to go. But in terms of external data becoming increasingly relevant is a challenge that almost all organizations face. And so, not just in terms of the data that gets created when people interact, but also trying to synthesize that information requires a lot of effort, and that's where generative AI comes in. Now, this is one part of it. The other part of it is, because of this data being available, the insights that are getting culled out, innovation is happening at a frantic pace. And so businesses are also getting disrupted, and the pace of change is far faster. So, a few years back, couple of years back, Zepto got introduced, and the impact of Zepto, Blinkit, and Instamart and others is so much that 2 days back, DMart, which we thought had a great business model, lost 8% in terms of share value just because of the type of inroads these guys did, right? So what essentially the point is that lifespan of companies is coming down over the years. So 50 years back, a company getting onto Standard & Poor's Fortune 500 would stay there for almost 50 years, like the G's and the Fords of yesteryears. Now, if you look at it, the average span every 10 years is almost halving, right? So now it's operating at around 12 years. If you get on Standard & Poor's, you're there for 12 years, and I'm talking of established companies here. So for startups, you can imagine what would be the situation. So what all this is leading is, you initially used to have a functional organization. We now generally operate in an integrated organization, but the future is going to be absolutely collaborative between human beings, machines, and what I call as citizen developers is what I see, right? So domain knowledge, technology, and data reasoning will all get integrated is the way I see, right? Now, Shabareesh, you have actually worked long in the data reasoning space, right, and technology space. How do you see that evolving over the next few years?
Sure. So we have seen the evolution, right? How this has been evolved over time. So we were at the time of a traditional AI and then moved to a conversational AI, and now we are at a phase of generative AI. So they say that, bigger the models, better it is. So it is not just better, but also faster nowadays, right? So every 6 months, we are actually doubling the number of AI models, which we are building. And the CEO of Intel had told that it actually took them 18 months for them to double the sale of the PC or laptops, right? But we are at a very fast growing phase. It's not only that, we have multiple models that we have access to, right? So we have a GPT-o1, which is very good in reasoning, and we have a Cloud-A, which is very good in writing. We have Google Gemini, which is very good in scraping the internet and then coming up with the response. And we also have a Meta Llama, which is very popular and open source among the developer network. And it's not just that. Today, we can actually, the AI can read multiple sources, right? It can read into text, video, audio, and also images. So if you see this way, right, earlier, if there is a website, and the developer or the data scientist used to see the code, which is in a JavaScript, or they used to extract the data through the backend. Today, AI can see what we can see, right? In terms of the images, where it is placed, and all sort of details. So just getting into this AIQ part, right? AIQ is Agent IQ. What that is, the software that uses AI tools and memory to accomplish the requiring multiple steps. So the difference, between the actual, the prompt what we use in a ChatGPT, which is more a single prompt, where you actually need to give a prompt, to get a response, right? So let's say, there is a multiple steps which is involved to get a response, right? Just to make it up, I support into sales and marketing part of the AI. So the biggest challenge today sales is facing is in the preparation of the customer, knowing the details of the customer before meeting a customer, right? The actual meeting actually takes place 1 or 2 hours, but the preparation goes off, for 6 to 7 hours. So imagine, if they have access to a company research agent, right? Where they can, instead of going into a LinkedIn or Twitter or the company websites, they can actually use this agent, which in turn, scrapes through all the data which is required for a sales guy, and it tries to consolidate into information, which is useful for the discussion, right? And when it comes to technology, we have seen the evolution, how it has gone from the ERP stage, cloud apps, and DevOps, and now we are in a stage where it is a low-code, no-code, right? So it is not just we are developing an agent. The agent can talk to another agent, right? And also we are in a phase where we can build this agent and customize it to our requirement, right? So it is no longer required that a company should have a person with a domain knowledge, or he should have hire someone for that purpose, and we should get used to that working with this agent in the future, right? So that being said, Maha, so I think one of the challenges is the context, or how the domain, because the generic LLMs are great, but it is not a domain expert. Where do you think the domain is going to fit into this future?
So a few things are happening. So there is obviously, the functional context is something that is actually very well understood by domain-specific LLMs and all that. But there is this whole challenge in terms of what I call as insight, foresight, and action. Eventually, it is decisions that are taken by people, right? So there are parts which actually the automation can have using AI, but there are other parts where human in the loop is required, right? So the world future is going to be what is called as collaborative context, working between all these people, right?
Got it.
So that's broadly what we wanted to cover. But in terms of future of work, how do you see this happening?
Yeah. So, see, we have a team members, the physical team members whom we are working with, right? So I think we need to get used to working with these digital agents who are going to be our teammates in future. And also, most of the teams are working in silos, when it comes to today's world. In future, they're all going to be interconnected. The agents are going to be talking to another agents before, coming up with the response. And also, it is not just going to be interns. We should also be, looking at the extends part, who brings that business or a situational leadership and a domain context to it. And it can be very flexible teams. The company need not have to hire people or expand it based on the project. Everything can be based on the agents which can be available in the marketplaces. Just to quickly cover the future of work. So today we have this freelancing websites or which covers where you can go and hire people, and we have an agents marketplace where we can subscribe or to the agents, and we also have this domain capabilities which can be gone into our SaaS models. So the future is going to be like all this managed marketplace, right? Where you can get the resource, you can get the agents, you can get the domain knowledge, and the speed to execution or the speed to market is going to be much faster than what it used to be in the past.
Thanks, Shabareesh. Just one point I want to make, that the world is getting increasingly agile, and so the future of work will become more collaborative, more collective in terms of context, and more speed to market is what will be important. Otherwise, like 7 years back, when the Nokia CEO said, we did not do anything wrong, but still things did not go right for us, right? And that was, it just took 8 years. iPhone launched in 2008. 2016, Nokia shut down, right? So the point is, this speed of change is just going to be faster, and that's why organizations will need to evolve and be agile. Thank you.